Hey everybody, how's it going? I am Sethum, and in this video folks I'm going to be showing you how to incubate eggs in Ark. So if you folks enjoy this episode, please do not forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new for more similar content, and why not check out some of my other videos here on this channel. Who knows, you might just enjoy them. Also, if you have just subscribed, remember to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new content. And for those interested in hanging out with me, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this can be found down below in the video's description, as well as in a pinned comment. So let's start with the basics, as this is a basic guide for players just starting out in Ark. In order to breed dinos, you will need a pair. In order to incubate eggs, you will need an egg-laying pair, which you will breed to get the fertilized egg. You can only incubate a fertilized egg, which is, as I said before, obtainable by breeding a pair of dinos. So that means you will need a male and a female, just like I have my Rexes behind me. Once you have the pair that you want to breed, you can then put them into a breeding cage, which can be designed in any which way you want. Obviously, the bigger the dino, the bigger the breeding cage. Once you have put them in the breeding cage, you will then go into the behavior and select one on both the male and the female and wait for them to breed. Now obviously this may take a bit of time depending on the server, and it will take quite a long time to breed big dinos on official servers. The point of breeding dinos is to use a strong pair of dinos that you already have to get even more powerful offspring from them. You can of course use torches and campfires to incubate fertilized eggs. However, do bear in mind that each dino's fertilized egg does require a specific temperature for the egg to incubate. Certain eggs have a certain amount of health, and if you do not get the temperature right, you will end up losing the egg, or you may end up with the baby coming out of the egg being subpar depending on what has happened. Now obviously, as I said before, you will only need fertilized eggs, and you know it's a fertilized egg because it has a red aura, as you can see next to these two eggs that I've got. One is an Argentavis egg, the other one is a Rex egg. Also, it is very important to note that I do have the breeding timers sped up to a ridiculous time so that you guys can see what happens and how it happens, whereas on official servers and probably most servers you will not encounter this. As you can see, my creatures are growing quite fast. Also, the other thing you will need to know is that you will need to have food prepared for the baby of a dino that you are breeding. So if it is a herbivore, you will need the berries or the sort of food that baby prefers, or if you are breeding a carnivore like I've done with this Rex, you will need meat. If you want to incubate fertilized eggs, I personally recommend using air cons, and to be on the safe side, you might want to place down around 14 air cons, as this will also allow you to incubate fertilized wyvern eggs. If you place your air cons in a U-shape like I have done there, then you can incubate multiple eggs. And the reason I recommend the usage of air cons is because certain dinos will prefer their fertilized eggs to have a specific temperature in order to incubate. As I said before, if they do not have that temperature, the egg will lose health and obviously be destroyed depending on what creature it is. It may take longer or less, and they do have variable healths. And so the problem with torches and fires is it can either be too hot and too cold, and you do have to bear in mind that the temperature in the world of Ark does vary depending on the time of day. So it can be quite hard to incubate an egg if the temperature does vary, especially if the egg can take anywhere between a couple of hours to a couple of days to incubate. Whereas by the use of the air cons, you cut out this problem, as they maintain a constant temperature and you can use them to incubate pretty much any egg in the game. Also, just as a side note, I have sped up the breeding and incubation times as well as the growth time for this particular video, so that you guys can see exactly what is happening. And on the official servers, these things can take days. Very important note here. Also, you'll want to imprint on your baby as soon as it has hatched, as you will also need to feed it whatever it does eat to prevent it from dying. So for example, with small creatures like your jerboas and bulldogs and all that, you'll need to put food in their inventory as soon as they come out to prevent them from dying. And that is because, of course, when a baby dino has come out, they will not have a lot of food, so they will quickly starve to death. You want to prevent this, as obviously you've spent a lot of time trying to get that egg, and obviously you don't want it dying out. With the larger creatures such as your gigas and your rexes and your wyverns, you do have some time to spare before you'll need to put food in them. However, you do want to place food in their inventory as quickly as possible, so that is a priority over trying to name it. You do not have to name it, you can do this at a later time. Also, it is important to note that the person that has imprinted on the creature once it has hatched will be the creature's owner, and therefore on official servers that will be the only player that can continue with the imprint. Now, some creatures will prefer walks and specific foods and cuddles. That will also obviously affect the creature's overall stats for when it does reach maturity. The point of breeding creatures is to get stronger dinosaurs, and by imprinting them they will gain a specific amount of bonus to their health and general stats once they are fully mature, depending on how many times it has been imprinted. So if a creature has reached 100% imprinting, then that creature will have reached the maximum bonuses that it can get from imprinting. This will also offer a buff to the creature and rider when they are together, which will increase that creature's damage as well as several other stats. Going back to the aircon, whilst you can use fires to incubate eggs, which is actually quite difficult by that method, by placing down 14 aircons in a U-shaped pattern, you can pretty much incubate any egg in the game, and this obviously also includes wyvern eggs, as you can see. The only place you would have a problem with this would be on scorched earth, where the electrical storms can cause power cuts. However, the wyvern eggs do require a high temperature to incubate, so you can also use campfires and torches or standing torches to incubate your eggs. Also, you can bring the wyvern eggs over to the island and other maps where you can incubate and obviously raise your babies. That is it for this video, folks, and as I said at the beginning of this video, or if I did not say, this is a video aimed at players just starting out in Ark, and it only covers the basics. Obviously, incubating eggs and breeding dinos in the game can be, and is actually quite a lot more complex than what I have covered in this video. So if you folks have enjoyed it and found the information in this video useful, please do not forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel for more similar content from myself, and if you have just subscribed, remember to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new content. Also, for those interested in hanging out, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this can be found down below in the video's description as well as in a pinned comment. Until next time, stay safe, folks.